effects of using mindfulness techniques on positive student behavior in special education. I am Andrew Ross Critchell. I go by Ross. I am a graduate student at Morningside College, and I'm a special education teacher at Ruby Van Meter School in Des Moines, Iowa. The purpose of my study was to determine if daily practices of mindfulness techniques increase positive student behavior in special education. I hypothesized that utilizing daily mindfulness techniques in the classroom would increase positive student behavior. I chose this topic because I work in a special education school. My school serves special education students from 12 years old to 21 years old. I work with the 18 to 21 year olds. I serve high-need students with a wide range of negative behaviors, and I wanted a helpful technique that would help with student behavior. There's a lot of research that shows that students in special education have a problem with behavior. Students in special needs classrooms face adversity and the struggles that come along with having a disability. Among these difficulties is acting positively. These students served in special education often display a wide range of negative behavior. Students who learn how to cope with and manage negative behaviors will have a greater chance of succeeding in adult life. Students with disabilities often possess difficulties with social behavior, anxiety, thinking, attention, delinquency, aggression, and other problems. These issues can directly affect the individual's independent adult functioning. Another study shows that many students, especially those who are in special education, struggle with mental health disorders and other emotional disturbances. Poor emotional mental health can negatively affect academic performance. So there's a lot of research that shows that students in special education have a problem with positive behavior, and they need help with that. All right, so there's where my tool of mindfulness comes in. There's a lot of research in my literature review that supports the benefit of using mindfulness in special education. In just education. One study showed that students can benefit from practicing mindfulness techniques in school. Middle school students perform better academically and manage feelings and behaviors better. Another study showed that mindfulness has a very positive impact on education. The negative behaviors in schools can be reduced by practicing daily mindfulness techniques. Another study showed that students who practiced mindfulness were kinder, had more self-control, were less depressed, were more focused, and scored better in math than those who did not practice mindfulness techniques. Another study showed that mindfulness in education helps not only with academics, but also in life direction. In higher education, with college students, practicing mindfulness techniques has been shown to benefit all academic disciplines. Along with the lower incidence of bullying, in one study noted improvements in stress management, decision-making, and problem-solving abilities, academic success, positive peer interactions, and self-regulation of students. Another study included bi-weekly mindfulness practice that was physical stretching and movement, then meditation. And this reduced challenging behaviors in students with learning disabilities. So there's one study that shows that mindfulness can help with students that have disabilities. Another study that shows that is this one that shows practicing mindfulness techniques prove to be valuable and increase the attention and help with the behaviors of students with ADHD. Over 200 hospitals and universities throughout the world are using mindfulness to address behavior, emotional, and learning problems. Along with helping students, mindfulness techniques also help teachers. Research even indicates that practicing mindfulness techniques has improved the positive emotional affect and the social emotional competence of educators. Another study shows that teachers who practice mindfulness are better equipped for classroom management and the struggles that can arise in the teaching environment. So a lot of research shows that mindfulness is beneficial in education, helps students deal with emotional problems, behavioral problems, and social problems, and it helps teachers deal with classroom management and their own emotional problems. Now, there's not a lot of research that shows how mindfulness can be helpful in special education. That's where my study comes in. The goal and the objective of my study was to determine the impact and practice of practicing daily mindfulness techniques on positive student behavior in special education. The tools I used for my study were Go Noodle mindfulness videos, And the measurement devices were shut categories of behavior and positive student behavior scale, both developed by Ebsen in 2014. Now, the shut categories of behaviors mean supporting other students in following rules, being helpful, using manners, cooperating and sharing, and being kind and caring. These were the categories that I used to track students on a daily basis. The positive student behavior scale was one that I used to track students on a monthly basis. Again, I predicted that utilizing daily mindfulness techniques in the classroom would increase positive student behavior. My independent variable was the daily practice of mindfulness techniques, and my dependent variable was the positive student behavior score. Now, the possible impacts this study could have. There are many good behavior management techniques. However, if this proved to be successful, it would provide evidence of a successful practice to increase positive student behavior. Not only would this impact that, but it would also impact me specifically as an educator. My work as a practitioner will be impacted by whether or not I continue to practice mindfulness techniques with my students in the future. If it shows to be beneficial, then I will continue to use mindfulness techniques as the years come. All right, let's talk about the results or the methods of my study. My participants were my students in my classroom, and I serve 18 to 21-year-old special education students. They all come from different socioeconomic statuses and racial backgrounds. Most of them were white. I have a total of 6 students in my classroom, 3 male and 3 female. The materials I used, the Go Noodle Flow videos. Flow is the section of Go Noodle that has mindfulness practice videos. And again, I use the shut categories of behaviors and the positive student behavior scale, both developed by Ebsen in 2014. I use the shut categories of behaviors to track students on a daily basis, and the positive student behavior scale to track them on a monthly basis. My procedure involved 5 30-minute sessions per week. Every day after lunch for 30 minutes, we watched mindfulness videos, and we also followed along with them and practiced the mindfulness techniques while the videos were playing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we watched 4 videos, and on Friday, we watched 5, and participated in all of them as well. My data analysis was tracking student behavior on a daily and a monthly basis. I used the shut categories of behaviors to track them on a daily basis, and the positive student behavior scale to track them on a monthly basis. Now, let's talk about the results of my study. The results of my study showed that positive student behavior was definitely beneficial in positive student behavior. Sorry, let me say that again. My results of my study definitely showed that the daily practice of mindfulness techniques was beneficial in positive student behavior. There was a statistically significant increase in daily positive student behavior as a result of the daily mindfulness technique practice. T6 equals negative 4.192, P equal to 0.006. There was also a statistically significant increase in monthly positive student behavior as a result of the daily mindfulness technique practice. So not only was daily behavior affected, but monthly on average behavior was affected as well. This is T6 equals negative 7.223, with P being less than 0.001. The table showing these results is here. All right, more data. All students showed growth. The initial daily mean score of student behavior was 63.75%. The end daily mean score was 76.9%. That's a total growth of 13.15% in daily positive student behavior. The initial monthly mean score was 61.4%. The end monthly mean score was 75.1%. That's a total growth of 13.9% in monthly average positive student behavior. The table showing this data is here. Okay, so as you can see, my result definitely supported my hypothesis that the daily practice of mindfulness techniques would increase positive student behavior. Now that we've talked about the results, let's talk about the implications, limitations, and recommendations of my study. My study has a couple implications. It implies that the research showed that practicing daily mindfulness techniques improved positive student behavior. It has impact on students and teachers. This research study provides evidence to teachers on how important it is to practice daily mindfulness techniques. This research also provides a method for teachers to assess student behavior on a daily and monthly basis. Again, that was the SHUT categories of behaviors in the positive student behavior scale. It also shows that students can benefit from learning mindfulness techniques, as it will help them manage their own behavior and likely help them with future success. Now there's a few limitations of my study. First limitation is sample size. There were only 6 students studied. Now that's because my classroom only had 6 students. Additional classes would yield additional research data. The age range. My classes were only 18 to 21 years old. My students were only 18 to 21 years old. That's because my class only serves those students. I feel like a larger age range would yield additional research data. We could research everyone from kindergarten all the way up to beyond school age. Now, Go Noodle was the only mindfulness technique that I used, the only tool I used. There are a lot of other mindfulness techniques out there, different stretches, different yoga techniques, different meditations. Other mindfulness techniques may prove to be more or less effective, and with this one being the only one studied, there is not a comparison to make note of. Now, duration of the study was only 16 weeks, and a longer study may yield different results. An entire semester or an entire school year would definitely be beneficial. Now, I had inconsistent participation. The nature of special education is that student behavior can be unexpected. I had some students refuse to participate on some days, and I had other students with work schedules that conflicted with the scheduled intervention. So without the consistent participation 5 days a week with all my students, it's hard to know whether or not the intervention was 100% effective for each of my students. Some recommendations of my study. Continued research to strengthen and validate the findings of the study would be my number 1 recommendation. Studies on the impact of daily mindfulness practice on more age levels. I feel like we should include elementary age all the way up to beyond school age, because mindfulness techniques can prove to help 18 to 21-year-olds, so I feel like it would help everyone. The use of different mindfulness techniques. Again, like I said, Go Noodle is a great tool, but it's not the only mindfulness technique out there. I feel like it would be beneficial to use more mindfulness techniques or practice this study with different mindfulness techniques. Also, certified mindfulness trainers would be a helpful thing to have, possibly. There are certified mindfulness trainers, and teacher studies to determine if certified mindfulness trainers training the instructors would influence student growth. In other words, if I had a certified mindfulness trainer train me, and I did this study again with the mindfulness training in mind, it might actually impact my student growth even more. All right, those were my implications, limitations, and recommendations. That wraps up my study. Again, I saw that the practice of daily mindfulness techniques helped the students in special education in my classroom. And I feel like the practice of daily mindfulness techniques is a helpful tool. Thank you for participating and watching my study. I'm going to now show you the references that I used in my study. There was a lot of great research that I did, and I appreciate you coming along with me in this journey. Here are my references, and I'm going to let you look at these for a second while I turn off the video. Okay, thank you very much for coming and watching my video. I appreciate it, and I appreciate any feedback or questions or comments you may have. And have a wonderful day.